Right here, right here, right here, right now, right now, right here, right here, right now, right now, right here, right now, 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 right here, right now, 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 now. Right here, right now. Now, right now. Right here, right now. Right here, right now.
Tell me where the light goes. Every time my eyes close and you're not there. Tell me where the sun hides. When you're saying goodbye, can't breathe your air. Promise me you'll stay. A lifetime coloring my days. My bright side particles and waves. Where does the light go when you're gone? Yeah. Ooh, where does the light go? Where does the light go? Where does the light go? Where does the light Tell me, are you somehow reflecting a little piece of heaven into my sky? 'Cause I see a glimmer of perfection in every direction when you're by my side. Oh, I don't wanna know a world without your everglow. You make me see in holochrome. Where does the light go when you're gone? Yeah. Ooh, 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 where does the light go? Ooh, 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 where does the light go? Ooh, ooh, where does the light go? Ooh, ooh, where does the light go? Where does the light go?
Should probably like start like introing before the next song starts going like really hard, and where there's like mid song. We have like a
Yes.
minute left, right?
Oh yeah.
Because these songs, they're good. Darren in on Twitch is saying like he's loving the music right now, and it's, I mean, again, guys, if you're interested in the music that I'm playing, if you like the music that's playing before the show, specifically, this is Monster Cat, and this is the New Music Weekly thing from the playlist. That's what I'm looking for from Monster Cat. so check that out, guys. Everywhere, Spotify, on Apple Music, all that kind of stuff. You know, we have a license for Monster Cat, so that's why we play this at the beginning.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I know we've been having a crap ton of fun getting ready for this. So let's get this started. Ladies and gentlemen, let's start the show.
Distance nerding.
What up, everybody? All my folks out there, what's up, everybody? How we doing?
Hey.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday. It is everybody's favorite time of the week, at least on Distance Nerding.
My favorite time of the week.
I guess some of the people in the chat, it's not their favorite day of the week because Jamez isn't on the show.
I really am Jamez.
Right.
Yeah.
Jamez
is the OG form. He transforms into Graveyard. For the
Right.
show.
That's what I was saying. The beard goes where it's needed. So, you know, usually on Tuesdays it's needed elsewhere, and Jamez becomes regular Jamez.
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Thursday. Welcome to the best kept secret on the internet, because right now it is a secret.
Shh, tell everyone.
I tell everybody, tell all your friends, tell everybody what's going on. Ladies and gentlemen, we are Distance Nerding. I am your boy, Young Phil. To my side right here is my cohort, and everybody's need to fear the beard. It is Graveyard.
Hey.
How you doing, Graveyard?
Good. It's Thursday, one more work day of the week, so I'm excited. It's always a good show on Thursdays.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm going to continue building the AT-AT. But we are jumping right into our guest this week. Usually we have a whole bunch of things that we discuss top of the show. We decided, you know what, to respect her time, we're gonna bring her on quick, and we'll talk about all the other stuff after. So let's get right into it, ladies and gentlemen. Today's guest is a prolific writer, producer, even dabbles in voice acting. She's worked on projects ranging from various live action and comic book incarnations of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers to create her own projects like The Dead Lucky, out on Image, and is doing current runs for Marvel like Spider-Gwen Smash, and she just did an Echo run. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show the immensely talented, and I got to switch my screens, Melissa Flores.
Hello, hi. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Absolutely can. How are you doing, Melissa? How's it going?
I'm good. I'm jealous that you're building Lego tonight because I would absolutely love to do that.
Right. That's what blows people's minds is like, how do you do an interview and build Lego at the same time without like losing concentration? And I tell people it's carefully.
Oh, that's actually one of the favorite things that me and my girlfriend like to do. We'll go to the Lego store for dinner after dinner for like a date night, and we'll go and pick something out that we can do in like a night. And then we'll just build it, and that's like one of our favorite things to do for dinner. So like after like a dinner date night thing, it's really fun.
That's awesome.
I'm jealous that you do that.
It's fun. We have like you can't really see any of it here now, but like we've built a bunch of different stuff that's all back here now. I went and got like the Christmas tree and a bunch of stuff for Christmas that I made her do for me because I was in a holiday festive spirit. And I have the tall neck from Horizon Zero Dawn, which is not something you can build in a day. So
Yeah.
special.
That mech is actually pretty awesome. For anybody who's played Horizon Zero Dawn, it's just like 10 times cooler than anybody kind of expected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you guys ever get like the lights? You know how you can buy like those lights? Because I have like a Jeep, one of the Jeep that you build for Lego, and you can buy like those light sets and stuff that you can like attach to the Legos to make them a little more dynamic when you're done building them.
I haven't. I wanted to get the one when I did the Echo one.
Oh, okay.
The Ecto one. But I never ended up getting it. So it's an awesome fun thing.
Yeah, I'm curious about it because I want to. When I build the tall neck, they have a really cool one for the tall neck that has like a little base and everything. So
some of the stuff they come out with on that is pretty badass.
it's fun.
You guys are pretty lucky. I'm not allowed to have another hobby with Legos.
Because your hobby is like filmmaking, so it's already expensive.
I'm on thin ice already. I started collecting Lorcana.
Oh God!
I got in trouble. So.
It's like Disney Pokemon. I mean, that's like
it's worse because I don't even play Pokemon. I play Magic the Gathering. So for me, it's like Disney Magic the Gathering, which is worse because this one you can start from the very beginning. You're not like running out of things every 2 seconds, and I think that's what's really gotten me in trouble.
Yeah,
there's only been 2 sets so far.
So welcome to Distance Nerding. Let's get right into this. So before we get into your story, let's learn a little bit more about you and the way you think, right? So if a movie was made based on your life, who would you want to play you and why?
I mean, I'm a Latina. How many Latino actresses are there out there right now that are super prominent at this point? There's so much more than there used to be. I mean, Jenny Ortega is probably be a really cool one. Because she's got a little bit of the attitude. When I was younger, I would have said Salma Hayek. Those are the two I can think of right now. In terms of why, I just again, I mean, there's not a lot of representation in Hollywood. I wish there was a lot more. But I'm excited to see what the women like them are doing in in their respective fields and see that the love that they're getting and the range of roles that they're getting, especially someone like Jenny Ortega that isn't like limited by her by just being a Latina. You know, she gets to play Wednesday. She gets to play all these other roles that when I was younger wasn't necessarily the case. Like I dabbled with acting when I was in my 20s, and all I was able to get like really was like either the whore or like the Madonna. It was like one of those. There was no in between, and or they wanted me to do like a Chola accent.
Right.
And I'm really bad at those. I'm not good at. I think I'm gonna make fun. I feel like I'm making fun of my dad.
I kind of do the same thing anytime I do like one of those accents. I'm just making fun of my dad, so I'm just like,
yeah. So it was one of those things. I remember being like, yeah, I don't think I'm ready for this stuff yet to just constantly be getting these kind of roles, and so I kind of switched back to more of a behind the scenes kind of stuff, and I really like it there. It's fun. I can eat whatever I want.
Right. Well, like what's good, and this is just the kind of piggybacking on what you're talking about right there. Like we're getting a lot more representation in Hollywood now. So like specifically, like Pedro Pascal is getting like
Yeah.
roles that are like not just for Latinos, right? Same thing with oh, I'm forgetting his name right now. Moon Knight,
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac.
Isaac.
Yeah.
Even oh god, and I feel bad that I'm forgetting his name because I love him so much. He was in Rogue One and
Diego Luna.
Diego Luna. Yeah, which I think honestly feels more exciting for me because I just because again he has an accent. Like,
Yes.
speaks English, and so does some people like Sofia Vergara and Salma Hayek, and I feel like those actors specifically, if they're trying to do things in Hollywood movies, get pigeonholed a lot, which really bums me out because they're some of the most amazing actors. And I remember Sofia Vergara just did an interview recently where she's like, "I'm really limited in the roles. I can't ever play a scientist because of my dumb accent," which is a bummer because she's so freaking talented. And I remember watching her in their telenovelas when she was young, or when I was young, and to see where she's come now, she's royalty basically. It's and that's I think what I really love about comics and games in general is that you're giving so much more runway with these characters because there's not this huge multi-million-dollar budget attached to your cast, and so you're allowed to create different characters that that you wouldn't necessarily be able to represent in a mainstream Hollywood picture or movie without having to like really, okay, we have a Latina, okay, we have an African American, we have a white person. Are we getting too diverse? What if we had it's just like, it's so, I was a producer in Hollywood for a really long time. Like the questions that get asked in these rooms are just insane. You forget how to be a human really quick.
Yeah.
And it's yes, and that's what I love about comics is that there's just it's so much more ground level, and especially creator-owned comics, and even the kind of comics we're seeing in Marvel and DC today, where there's a lot more room to play and a lot more appreciation for different characters.
Yeah, I mean, because I've talked about it for a couple of years, even on the show, where representation is a big deal, and for the longest time, you know, like. Now we're getting a lot of representation in comics, but we didn't for the longest time. You know, like it's you know, some characters were just kind of like retconned to be Latino, but like, you know, for the most part, we're getting characters that are written as Latino, and it's like it means a lot to like Miles Morales was a big deal for me specifically.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, okay, you have a character who now Spider-Man's Latino now, right? And that was when they did Spider-Verse. It like I was like, I'm going to tread softly on this because there's a certain way that I'm expecting him to be, and he was everything I wanted him to be. He was that biracial kid that was very much a Puerto Rican New York kid, you know, speaking Spanish while he's walking down the street. And I'm like, that's what I wanted. I wanted a kid that has those two cultures, and it's very evident that he lives in two cultures.
Yeah, and he's Afro Latino too, and you don't think you see a lot. You know, you have Zoe Saldana, and like people always forget that part of them that very much Latinos too.
Right.
And that's really cool. Somebody also mentioned America Ferrera, who's amazing in Barbie. And
God, I love her.
Yeah.
I love her so much. I never watched the movie, but like I was interested in watching the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants because she's about the same age as me, right? So it was just kind of like when that movie came out, I was like, "Ooh, she's hot. I'm having a crush on her right now."
Yeah. She went to USC the same time that I did. So it was like I used to I never met her, but I would like run into her a lot. She seemed really cool, really down to earth.
Nice. So with that right there, the next question I have for you here. So we have a segment on the show called Growing Up Geeky.
Okay.
What did you geek out on when you were a kid?
Xena, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, He-Man, and there's one more that's on Star Trek.
Next Generation or OG?
Voyager, believe it or not.
Voyager.
Voyager. Because it had I was just so desperate for women that I could look up to, and there wasn't. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles, and I have an amazing family, and my parents are absolutely incredible. But you know, they work very, very hard. My mom got married very young and worked very hard to put us through school. Like I ended up, she worked at USC for 30 years so that we could get free tuition to go there. And it was one of those things where she was just like, you better get into USC because otherwise I don't know how you're going to get into college. I don't know how you're going to afford it. And thankfully all three of us did. But and my dad too. My dad worked really hard. And so there was, for somebody like me who was undiagnosed ADHD at the time, really kind of a closeted queer kid who had no idea what that meant. Like I had no comprehension for what being gay was. And it was a really confusing time for me as a kid. And so I like to live in like these fantasy worlds where women were just so badass. And like as a Latina, I remember first generation, my dad wasn't necessarily machismo, but he definitely had a very specific thought process as to what women were supposed to do and what they were supposed to be. And going out and being a writer in Hollywood or even in comic books, that wasn't something that was even like a glimpse. And so it was really like, my mom, her dream was for me to be a doctor. Like there was a lot of entertainment was there to be entertaining. There wasn't anything other beyond that. But for me, who like was obsessed with reading and obsessed with stories and obsessed with worlds, I just fell in love with these fantasy ideas. And again, I had no idea I was gay. So I just thought these women were super cool. Like I had no idea I was in love with them, but Belana Torres was Latina. She was half Klingon. And as a Latina who like really did feel like I didn't fit into a lot of different places. I mean, I grew up in South Central Los Angeles, but I talk like this, and that's very Valley girl accent. Like I remember I was working at Pizza Hut and women were gonna beat me up because they said I sounded like a white girl. And I'm like, I have no idea what that means. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. I can speak Spanish. This is just how I talk. I don't know how I ended up this way. So seeing people like Belana Torres, who was half Latina, I mean, half Klingon, half Latina woman, that was a big deal for me. I didn't see that very often. And, same thing with like somebody like Xena Warrior Princess. She was just badass. Like she was everything I ever wanted to be, just this like really cool warlord woman. And so that's kind of how I would fall. Like I was obsessed with Michelle Yeoh back then because she used to do all these Hong Kong action movies.
Right.
Yeah, and so I had a wall. Like, God, I should have known I was so gay. But I had a wall of like these women that were up. And I think even the title was just like women I want to be. And I'm like, well, I don't know if necessarily that's true or if it was women I want to marry. But either way, they are that's where I wanted to live in these worlds. And so for me, it was how the people I aspired to be somehow or other. These badass women, and hope that one day I could be a part of even creating kind of those worlds.
Oh, and you're definitely there now. So it's like,
yeah,
I would definitely put you in the realm of like, being that type of creator, because the work that you're doing is amazing. I mean, to the point where, when I had a chance to meet you, I was like, I need to ask her to come on the show.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you.
So would you say that the love of that stuff that you grew up geeking kind of helped you get into the writing world and where you are today?
I mean, it helped a lot that I lived in LA. I think had I not lived in LA, it never would have happened. And it helped, I think, that I went to USC because again, had I not gone to USC, I was originally going to go to the Rensselaer Polytechnic University over in New York. But I went to a math and science high school. I went to the California Academy of Math and Science, and it was a high school that drew kids from 8 different school districts, and it wasn't necessarily a magnet school, but it was definitely it was a public school, but it was meant to elevate you. And so by the time I was a junior in high school, I was taking college classes at the university there, and so I just as an undiagnosed kid with ADHD. I was always considered gifted. Like I almost skipped a grade, but my mom didn't want me to because that would have put me in the same grade as my older sister. And so I had no real issue with grades until I got to this school and I started taking things like biology because I always thought I was going to be a doctor because that's what my mom wanted me to be. And and then just the idea, like if you have a bone and there's like a thing here and that has a name and there's like, you just look at a bone and there's like 30 different names for this every scratch and bump and thing on a bone. I had such a hard time just memorizing those things. And it was the first time where I felt dumb because I couldn't figure out why I couldn't memorize those things. And I was taking calculus and I was taking this special kind of math and I was taking all the science and chemistry and there was no outlet for any creativity because I would do all that and then I'd go work at Pizza Hut for 25 hours a week.
Right.
And so I feel like the other side of my brain just kind of exploded. I discovered what fan fiction was. And I started like reading it, and then I started writing it, and it felt like that just like I kind of fell in love with writing that way. And I did in high school, I did an internship at Nissan in the engineering department, and they were lovely, lovely. I got to work on such cool things. They were fantastic. I had never been so bored in my life. Like, and I thought that was going to be cool. And I was like, I'm so bored. And that's when I kind of knew that maybe something like that was not in the cards for me. And so when I got to college, I had no idea what I was going to do anymore. And so I ended up being a communication major. Because when you go to college and you don't know what you're going to be, you just go to communication. And then I did a minor in interactive media and I did a minor in theater. But even when I graduated from that, I had no idea. I ended up as a receptionist at a little tiny studio, and I just kind of worked my way in. It was one of those things when I got there, it was really, really intimidating for me because I had like Hollywood is all about who you know, right? And a lot of kids, their parents are producers, especially at USC because they have the USC School of Cinema. Their parents are producers, their parents are actors, their parents are agents and marketers and all these different things. I had none of that. I came from, my dad, I'm so proud of, drove a garbage truck for Glendale, and he made great money and he provided for all of us. And I was so proud of him until he retired. Like, I'm so proud of him for doing that. And my mom too, she worked her way up from a waitress to a manager of contracts at USC. So successful and brilliant in what they do, but either of them were in television. So I kind of like I met with an incredible showrunner who does Fargo and a bunch of other things. And I was talking to him and he said, like, Hollywood is like a building with no doors. You just go around and around and around until somehow magically a door opens and you get in. And then once you get in, everybody's like, what took you so long? We're so happy to have you. But there's no door outside to let you in unless somebody opens the door for you. And that was what I discovered very quickly. I had no idea how to get inside. And so I kind of had to do it the long way and kind of worm my way in. Like I was a receptionist, then I was a PA, then I quit because I couldn't afford it anymore because you only get like $500 a week. And I had student loans because I got my master's at the same time. And then I ended up at FX as in research. And then from research, I went to be an assistant in the development department. That's my first taste of like being a development executive. And that was a really hard job. And then again, I gave up because it was really hard. It was really hard to try to get anywhere because you couldn't afford to live on what they were telling you. You were the first ones in, you were the last one out, you got paid nothing, and I had all these student loans. So I ended up giving up. And I tried to get a job as a writer's assistant on a couple shows. And again, it was a different time. And so I couldn't get into, I remember I got really close a couple times. And the first time it was me and another guy, and they went with the guy and they told me this. They had a different time. They said they were going to go with the guy because they tell really sexist jokes in the writer's room and they didn't want me to be offended. And they didn't want to have to worry about offending me.
Oh, God.
Okay. So it was just a different time, like that was okay to say back then. And then another time I was asked to do coverage and I did it. And they're like, this is the best coverage we've ever had. We would not know what to do with you. You're too talented to be an assistant. I'm like, well, how am I going to get in the door if nobody like,
yeah. Like how do you develop if you have no way to develop further? Like, it's like, oh, you're too good, but it's like, okay, well, that doesn't help me right now.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so I ended up giving up and I was like, you know what? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take, I'm pretty good at being an assistant now. So I'm just going to go be an assistant for something out of the industry. Because out of the industry, if you're a good executive assistant, you can make $90,000 a year. And so I ended up at a company called Saban Capital Group.
Oh.
And I was an assistant for 3 years for an incredible finance director, really nice guy. I got bored again, and by that time I had made friends with the general counsel because I had also helped her out, and I was like, "Hey, I think I'm gonna try to get back in." I miss the entertainment industry. I miss doing everything I thought I said I wanted to do.
Mhm.
And she's like, "Well, we actually might have a job for you here." And they had just started a company called Saban Brands. And because Haim Saban was the owner of Saban Capital Group,
Right.
and he had
Right.
just bought back Power Rangers from Disney. So, so I interviewed with Brian Casentini, who was the VP, and he created a position for me as a coordinator of development for Power Rangers. And he was essentially the guy that opened the door. He was the guy that was like, "Great, I see what you want to do. Let me help you get there." And within like a year, I was promoted to manager. And then the 10 years I was with Saban Brands, I got worked my way up to director, and I got to do some amazing things for Power Rangers and a bunch of different shows too. I was the EAC on a couple different shows and got to develop a bunch of different shows, and that was really where like I said, that's where I got in
Mhm.
and really got to hone the craft of development and learn it, not just for television, but for comics, for video games, for podcasts, for anything. Because anything that had Power Rangers that was a story eventually crossed my desk at some point or another, just because I was considered the lore master of Power Rangers by that.
He just recognized how talented you were.
Oh, thank you. Well, I mean, I don't know about that. I just worked really hard, and I have an ADHD obsessive personality. So
Yeah, and then like, I mean, it's funny because I was gonna mention like earlier, like, you know, when you were getting discouraged for a while, it's like the ADHD couldn't have helped that, because it's like, you know, that had to have like heightened it and made it
I mean,
worse.
it was tough because again, like, you know, I love my family so much, and they're so supportive and they're so appreciative. But back then, again, it was just I'm so thankful that kids nowadays have different resources. Like it's a
Mhm.
harder time for kids these days because I think that there's less opportunity for them because our economy is crap. But it's better in terms of mental support. You know, back then, you know, Latinos didn't understand. Like, well, so, I don't want to characterize all Latinos, but
We
Latinos,
still to an extent we still don't.
yeah, mom was like, "You're gifted. You're just lazy. You never had to study, so you don't know how to."
Right.
And so I would like beg her to take me to get tested. It's like, "There's something wrong with me. I'm like sitting here. I know I'm smart. I know I'm smart. You told me that I know my IQ is okay. Like, but I'm reading a book. I can read for half an hour and not remember anything that was said because I cannot focus." And and it was really frustrating, and I think that's why I ended up not going into engineering, or because I was like, "There's not if I can't pass a class on memorizing bones, how am I gonna do anything else in the medical field?" And or if I'm bored at an internship for Nissan, how am I gonna be an engineer?
Mhm.
And so, as much as I loved doing that stuff, like SimCity, all that stuff, that was like my favorite game to play because I just loved building those systems out. Because I did like science. I do like math and science quite a bit. I ended up going the other way. And actually, the math and science stuff has actually helped me with my writing quite a bit because it's given it another experience pool to pull from. But I ended up getting myself diagnosed in my mid-20s. I went to a psychiatrist, and I that specializes in ADHD, and just worked my way through it. I kind of just had to, and just ignore everything that I had heard in the past, being like, "That's not a thing." And once I was able to figure out, "Hey, no, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just your brain works differently." And it's like, you know, it's like having a remote control in your head and you're not being able to really control sometimes what the remote control does. It allowed me to refocus and do things differently. And
Mhm.
so um I learned that being a executive assistant probably not the best idea for somebody with ADHD because you're just sitting in one place and forced to do these menial, like these not menial tasks. They're good executive assistants are incredible. And
Mhm.
I was not a good executive assistant. I was just fine. I was okay. But there's like, you know, like the executive assistants that you see working for somebody like Haim Saban make good money and they deserve it because that's not an easy job. It's a lot of detail-oriented stuff that comes into, but I've always been much more creatively inclined, and so doing what I do now is a lot easier and harder for me because now I have to. It's on me. If I drop a deadline, that's on me now, right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, you know, and I have tools to help me like schedules and medication and all that stuff that I didn't have when I was young. And so it did really help.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, my mom did the Latino thing, like the typical Latino thing, and I was diagnosed with ADHD, but she didn't do anything about it. So she was just like, I don't want to be on Ritalin, so no.
Yeah, it's so different, and it's so interesting how we have like the way that I see my sisters parent their kids versus the way we were parented, and and it's not to say nobody at any given time is not doing the very best. Like I have so much love for my parents, and they were just doing based. I mean, my mom was a migrant worker.
Right.
She met Cesar Chavez, and the reason she went back to school was because of Cesar Chavez. But even then, when she went to a high school and she said she wanted to go to college, they told her that wasn't realistic for her. And my mom is brilliant. She's so smart, and she's you know, it's not like she's not an immigrant. She was born here. She just had a different set of circumstances.
Right.
And so everybody has their own unique challenges, and everybody faces them in different ways. And like I was very different from my sisters, and so they didn't really quite know what to do with me. And I'm so thankful now that I found my way. But I think everybody, and so I always tell that to people who are always really discouraged, when they're always just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't feel like I'm doing anything with my life. Like I'm in my 20s, I'm in my 30s, I'm in my 40s. I'm like, I didn't start writing until 2 years ago, dude. Like, and I feel like I've started over so many different times because I didn't know where I fit. And I still don't know where I fit. I don't know if I'll still be doing this in 5-10 years. I love what I'm doing. But I always feel like if you be the best version of yourself, you want to evolve and you want to change. That's when you have ADHD, that's the only thing you can do. Once you're bored, it's done. You're over. It's like pulling teeth, trying to get yourself to do anything. So for me, I constantly have to reinvent myself. I constantly have to look at different things. I constantly have to be like, okay, all right, I did this. What's next? Like, what else can I learn? And because otherwise I'm going to be bored and it's going to be really hard.
Right.
And so I always tell people not to sweat it. You know, like, what's his name? Harrison Ford was in his 40s when he got Star Wars.
Right.
So everybody has their own timetable and figuring themselves out.
Oh yeah. It's great that, you know, that, yeah, I completely agree. I think we're all kids of the 80s and 90s, right? That, yeah, our generations are very different. You know, I have a daughter that has ADHD. You know, my wife has a LD. I had no issues in school, but then I hit 30, anxiety and depression just hit me rampantly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's great that you're able to focus and do all this stuff too, because I think, you know, like you said, we didn't deal with it. It wasn't talked about growing up.
Yeah, I mean, my partner has PTSD, and because she was an Army veteran for a really long time, and nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about how that affects what you, what happens when you come home, and that's actually how the Dead Lucky was born. It's about a veteran who has PTSD who comes home, and everybody just expects her to be the same when she's not. And that helped me understand her because I didn't get it. I don't understand. Like, it's really hard to walk into a restaurant and understand why she always has to have her, like, she can't have her back to the door.
Have her back to the door. Yep.
You know, or she always like has to look around. Like, it's just such a different thing. Yeah, when you talk to somebody who has had people die in front of them, people die for them, people die, you know, for so many different reasons and things that she can't even talk about. How do you even relate to that? And then come back and expect it, like you expect her to react to things the way you do. It's not the same.
Yeah.
And I think that's been the best education for me as a writer is understanding everybody has a different journey. And just because you see things some way doesn't mean somebody else does.
Right.
And it doesn't make it any less valid. It just means that you guys have different experiences.
I still have issues with people sneaking up on me. If somebody tries to like walk up behind me, like I have negative reactions to that.
Yeah, I have a friend who was deeply abused as a child, and I didn't figure that out until I came up because I'm a very huggy, touchy person. The first time I met her, I came up and I did this, and she jumped, and I was like, "Oh, we're never doing that again." And that's when I realized that she had a very traumatic childhood, and it was something she was still dealing with. But like, I had a lovely despite all of this, I had a lovely childhood. I was very protected and loved. So like, that is something I never would think about, but it's different. Yeah.
Yeah, and I see that it's, I think good writing comes from the life experiences, the people that you know, and I definitely was able to read The Dead Lucky and the PTSD aspect of it. I think that's great, adds to great writing, is that you're able to emotionally connect with the characters and the world that you're building. You're not just writing beast number 55.
Nothing
you
wrong
know
with that too. I admire those people. I admire those writers that
Yeah.
like write Avengers for 50 issues and still find new stories to tell about those guys. I think that's really cool. That would overwhelm the hell out of me.
Yeah, I mean, you've answered a lot of the questions that I had written out already. So this, I specifically had stuff on the PTSD. I was gonna ask you like about without giving spoilers about your Gwen run, but I mean, like,
yeah,
she definitely, from what I can tell, she has ADHD.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of, it was, a lot of inspiration from the movie, obviously, Into the Spider-Verse, but also a lot of the run. Like when I first, Marvel specifically, they don't hold your hand when you get something. They expect you to know what you're talking about when they give you, if you say you're going to take a character and write it, you better know what you're writing. And so every character I've written for Marvel, I have to read hundreds of pages because I want to know what everybody's done before me, and I want to see if there's things I can use to push the character forward, and then add my own things for the next person, because it's not a character that belongs to you. It's not like Dead Lucky, where Dead Lucky is my character, right? I can take it, I can decide what happens, I can decide exactly who she is. This character, you're borrowing it, and you're going to give it back, right? It's like you're given like a piece of Lego, right? You're given an unformed Lego piece, and you have to add your Legos. But you have to respect the Legos that were there before, or else it's not the piece anymore. And so, for Gwen specifically, I was looking at what Into the Spider-Verse, and I had always really loved those movies. But then I also was reading her Latour run and a bunch of other different runs, and she just came like a character that just didn't know who she was anymore. Especially the one before me was like a clone run. Where she was with a bunch of different clones, and it was beautifully done, greatly written, all that. But I remember reading, like, how does this character even know who she is anymore? She's looking at a character, like she's looking at 10 different versions of herself. Like, how do you know who you are? And you're not even home, like your home dimension. Like, if you don't know where you came from and you don't know how you connect to it, how do you know who you are? And so, but that was a big inspiration of it for me. I was just like, if they want, they came to me and they said, I want you to do something about Spider-Gwen. I want you to do it in her home dimension. I was like, thank God, because I don't want to do another one of those. I feel like that's all she's done. And so, and I really, friendships and relationships are always a big deal for me. I feel like, especially when a superhero has nothing to connect them to, you kind of lose sight of what makes you a superhero. And so I feel like, she has her dad. And that's it. And she's got the Mary Janes, but the relationship between her and the Mary Janes is always so contentious. And like, I want to focus just on it's always like an afterthought in the other runs. And I was like, I want to make it just about that. I really want to force her to not have to go anywhere. She's stuck in a van with the Mary Janes, and her and MJ are going to work this shit out. And
that relationship with her and Mary Jane Watson is always, it's always kind of an antagonistic relationship.
Yeah, and that's what I kind of liked about it. There's also like, a little bit of sexual tension there, because people have put in kind of inferred in previous runs that, MJ might have a crush on her, and it might be a little bit of like that kind of unrequited love. And so I kind of was really fascinated by that. And then I also really loved the idea of Dazzler coming in and having her own relationship with Gwen that wasn't about being a spider, but was about being a different person.
Right.
And again, I had friends that were recently stalked, and that powerlessness that comes when you're stalked. And I've been doxxed recently. Somebody came after me and was attacking me online incessantly. It still are, to a point. And so Dazzler was getting stalked. And so it was one of those things where it's just a little cocktail of these different things that are happening to MJ to Gwen, that forces her to reevaluate what it means to be home. And I think it's actually really poignant and almost bittersweet, because in the next run, the next ongoing, she's leaving Earth 65. So, which is, written by Stephanie Smash, who's amazing. I'm excited to see what she does with the character, but like, it made me a little sad at first because I was like, oh man, like I put so much work into making her stay, like be comfortable, finally like find things to ground her in her own world, and now she's leaving it again.
Living again, yeah.
But I'm really excited. There's a reason for what they're doing, and I'm really excited to see what they do. But it was important to me being like, okay, if that's going to happen, I want to make sure people will always remember Earth 65 and are going to want her to go back, because we leave all these little things, these little desserts for her to come back and enjoy. So
yeah,
that is awesome. I find myself relating a lot to even being, somebody who identifies as male, but it's like I identify with your characters on different levels, because like if it's like, say for Dead Lucky, right? She's she's biracial, but I mean I'm a Latino that's also an Army veteran, right? And I relate to a lot of the things that she deals with versus with Gwen dealing with the ADHD and kind of just the way that she kind of like looks at the world and how she deals with things. Like I find myself relating to your characters a lot more than I thought I would have, and it's kind of like why I gravitate towards your writing so much.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you. I mean, I feel like that's the point. I mean, again, growing up as a kid, I didn't have a lot of like, there's no like queer Latina females except for, Santana Lopez from Glee that I could actually like look at and say like, that's me. So you had to find things about characters to relate to, and so that's how I approach every character, even though I'm a female writer writing from a female perspective, I like that for me is the ultimate test of a writer is like, can you get somebody that is not you to care about these people?
Right.
And to see them differently. And so like I've had so many people come up to me and talk to me about Bibiana, who's the character in The Dead Lucky, and say, I wasn't a veteran, but I had a traumatic incident and I have a lot of survivor's guilt and I really saw myself in her. Or, I'm biracial and I've never really felt like I belonged. I really saw myself. So there's little bits of her that stick with people in a different way. And the same thing happened with Radiant Pink. Because Radiant Pink is about a woman in a toxic relationship, and learning to be okay with not being okay,
right?
And it's a very bombastic character. She is an influencer who's also a superhero. Like, there's not much to relate to there if you're not an influencer or superhero. But when you peel back those layers, really, the book is not about that. The book is about a woman who is so afraid of being alone that she allows herself to be loved in really terrible ways and refuses to believe that love is bad for you. And so I think, and that struck a chord with a lot of people being like, I've been in that relationship.
Yeah.
And so, and even Power Rangers, I'm going through this 30th anniversary run. It's in every issue just is like crazy in its own different way. I just had a really crazy issue in MMPR 116 where we did something really interesting. I don't want to spoil it for anybody that hasn't read it, but there's something significant that happens in this issue to a fan favorite character. And again, this is every issue is about something else, whether it's about trauma or PTSD or teamwork or learning to love yourself or just feeling helpless. Like, if you have those root emotions, I feel like it really helps somebody understand where you're coming from. Even if they're just looking at you and be like, how do I relate to you? You and I have nothing in common. Like, we all do. We all are people and we all feel things different ways.
Right.
You just have to find those little nuggets that allow people to to connect with your character.
Right. As a huge Power Ranger fan, I have asked, did you have to watch all 25 seasons, 27 seasons to kind of get into the Power Rangers comic?
I mean, I didn't have to, but I did because I was again, my first when I was signed on to be the coordinator for Power Rangers or was development and production for Saban Brands at the moment. That they're like, the first thing you're going to do is we're going to have you edit together this Bible. And I was a little too old for Power Rangers when it first came out. I was aware of it, I understood it, but I didn't I was one of those people that when they go like, oh, we just got that Power Rangers, I'm like, Power Rangers is still a thing? Like, I had no idea. and they're like, oh yeah, there's been 20 seasons. And
right.
like, what? So I had to literally just deep dive. And like I remember one of the first jobs I had was to go into the storage that had all these costumes that we got back from Disney and pull together as many costumes as I could. And you don't do that unless you know what those costumes look like.
Right.
'Cause there's 20 like, you know, there was at the time like 18 different costumes, and each one of them has like 5 or 6 rangers, and you have to know what boots go with what belts go with what, you know, patches. And I messed up once, and that's going to forever haunt me. But I had to learn. I'd put together all these outfits. And so in 6 months I had watched everything and done as much as I could. Do I remember all of it? No. But it has helped me so much because when I left the franchise, and then I got brought back to write the comic books, and the learning curve was much less steep than it would have been had I not had all that experience. And so I was really thankful for that, because I can remember those tiny little moments like, hey, power eggs, that wasn't an episode. What happened there? And use those in a different way, especially right now, because this is an anniversary event where I'm having not just to pull from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but from the entire series.
Right.
And that's 30 years of Power Rangers. It's a lot of Rangers.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
Now, do you have to, you know, with I don't know how it works with the comic run versus the TV show. Like, did you have to do anything with the Once and Always episode
No.
that came out? Okay.
No, that had nothing. I mean, I got the script early because I asked for it because I wanted to see what was going on. And obviously, I have, because I worked in Power Rangers for long, I have friends, dear friends that are Power Rangers. So, you know, Karen was back there, and I was excited for her and a couple other people. And so I knew what was happening. I knew what was going on. But because they're I see them as different dimensions. You know, I see them as they the comics can inform the television show, but the television show doesn't necessarily have to be informed by the comics. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that, kind of like how the MCU is a different Earth and different universe than the comic books. Not
Yeah,
all
like
616
we
versus
treat a bunch of stuff as canon events as it happened in the TV universe.
Right.
But we wouldn't and you know, there's things that morph their way over, like the Morphin Masters from the comic books made their way over to Power Rangers Cosmic Fury and Beast Dino Fury. But it's because the way that we do things are so different from the comic books. And at the time, there was a time I worked on both simultaneously. It's unfair to ask the television production people who work, you know, years out in advance and are working with footage that they already had from Sentai.
Super Sentai, right?
And a limited budget to be like, can you do this thing that we did in the comics? Where the comics, all we have to do is, you know, have the artist design a new costume. It's such a different medium, and they're different audiences, honestly, because the television show is for a much younger audience than the comic book series is, which is for older fans. So
like us older nerds that are so, like, you know, in the Power Rangers like that.
Yeah, and so the way I see it is that the Morphin Grid is the same in every universe. Right? The Morphin Grid, whether you're watching the movie, the video games, the television series, the comics, whatever, it's the same Morphin Grid, which means anything is possible. But there are different worlds within that. You know, even in the Power Rangers television series, there's 3 different dimensions. There's like there's the RPM universe, there's the Dino Charge universe, and then there's the main universe where everything else happens.
Right.
So I mean, for me, multiple dimensions is always the solution.
So you fix it. It's just different dimensions. We'll do something in a different dimension. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
Or this happened in this dimension. All right.
We are limited though to canon. Like there are things that, you know, and I see a lot of people being like, how are they going to fix this? Where because so much of the run has been like exploring these little in-between moments that happen on the TV show that fill things in. So we can't go bombastic, go stir crazy and break everything.
Right.
We want to make sure we still walk that line so that people feel like they could fit this into the television show canon if they wanted to.
That must make it so much easier to retcon things if you ever need to retcon something, though.
I mean, it's harder, honestly, because if you were just doing your own thing and they're not involved, you can do whatever you want and not have to worry about how that affects the television series. But because there's this implication and understanding that they both are kind of connected, you have to really be careful not to break too much, because the fans will definitely have a reaction, and they don't like that. they like having those hidden moments.
Mhm.
And they like having, what if Jason, Trini, and Zach didn't go to a peace conference? Instead, they went to another whole place where they were whole other Rangers and had this whole other adventure, and that was just a front. Like they like that. So
Right.
you have to kind of pay attention to what they're responding to and to honor them. They've been this is I just finished writing. I'm actually doing a second draft of 121. That means there's 121 of these that have been and fans that have been there from the very beginning reading all of these. So I want to make sure that they feel they can trust us
Mhm.
to deliver cool stories that are going to challenge their perception of Power Rangers, but also stories that aren't going to break what they want Power Rangers to be.
God,
Oh, yeah.
I'm loving this so much. So I'm gonna ask one more kind of like off question here before we start getting into a wrap up, because I want to respect your time too. So I don't want to keep you for too long, as much as I do want to keep you for too long. So you've recently also played done some voice acting in Power Rangers Battle for the Grid.
Hmm.
How was that experience?
I mean, it was kind of a non-experience for me because I was producing the voice. I was producing the voice sessions, and we just needed 2 characters, and I was like, "I'll just do it. I'll do it." No, so what it was we were doing this game called Power Rangers Battle for the Grid with NY, lovely people, really fun game. If you haven't played it, you should check it out. It's they did Power Rangers Legacy Wars, which is still going on, which is the mobile version, and this was
Mhm.
going to be like more of a Street Fighter-esque kind of fighting game, really beautifully done. But there wasn't going to be a story mode. And then there was going to be a story mode, but there wasn't going to be any voice acting in it. And I felt very strongly, and a couple of other people felt very strongly that there should be voice acting
Mhm.
in the story mode. It's just we have all these incredible actors that are still available that would add so much if we just allowed that to happen. And thankfully, Enway found the money, but it was a very limited amount of money. And so we could only have like 5 actors or something. And like we had to kind of pick and choose based on the story mode. Because what we were doing, we worked with Kyle Higgins, who did Shattered Grid for us and the comics, to readapt that for this game. And so we had to kind of look at who are the major players in there that had the iconic voices. And so like we had Jason David Frank, rest in peace, my lovely friend. We had to have him because Lord Draken is a big part
Right.
of that show, and we got Austin to play Jason. We got David to play Zordon, and then once we got all those characters, and then we couldn't get Amy, but Megan Camarena had done a really good Kimberly for Shattered Grid Live that happened at Power Morphicon. And she also did Hyperforce Pink, so we had her do Kimberly's part. She did a great job. She did Kimberly Ranger Slayer, and so then by that time we had these guys can play their parts and nothing else because that's just so iconic. So now we have 6 more characters that we need. So we hired 2 incredible voice actors, and I am just really bad with names right now because I'm really tired. I think it was Kyle Charles. I can't remember. 2 incredible voice actors. One of them did Rita and another character, and the other one did like Finster and 3 other characters. And then David did a movie version of Blue that was really cool. And then by that time we had, Kyle did, and then by that time it was kind of like all hands on deck. I was like, well, we don't have any more money to pay anybody, so what else can we do to get these voices in?
Right.
And Kyle wanted to do a character, so we had him do the Sentry, the Black Sentry from the Coinless universe.
Mhm.
And then we had 3 characters left, 3 girls. And so my other co-producer at Lionsgate, her name is Amanda, amazing producer. She's kicking so much ass right now. Not at Lionsgate anymore, doing her own thing, but she's a rock star. I was like, you get in the booth. You're doing, what did I have her do? I had her do Mystic Force White. And then there was 2 characters left. There was Megaforce Yellow, and there was Cat Ranger. And I was like, okay, like I would have loved to have Ciara. I actually love Ciara, who's Megaforce Yellow. But I couldn't afford her. And so So I was like, okay, I'll just do both. And so I literally just got into the booth and like tried to pitch my voice low and tried to pitch my voice high, and then just listened to the characters. And thankfully, because like I said, I had dabbled with acting back in the day, I did an okay job. And so that's as far as like I did an okay job, and that's as far as I'm gonna go. But thankfully we made it work. But it was really just a patchwork of like, we need these incredible actors. And we only have so much money. And so it was kind of like, what can we do? And that's what a producer does, right? You sit there, you look at the budget, you see it, and you make it work.
Right.
And that's kind of how it came about. I didn't cast myself because I thought I'd be best for the role. We needed somebody to do it, and I was there.
You cast yourself because you were available.
I was in the room. Yeah.
Yeah, I was there. I was there, and I was breathing. Okay. Well, so let's get into these wrap up questions here, just because again I want to respect your time here. So I've got some very, very, very difficult questions for you here. If you're ready for these.
I'm not, but you can go ahead and ask them.
Yeah, and this one is going to be particularly difficult because it's a very near and dear question to Latinos.
Is it about Selena? Because like, don't make me cry.
No, it's not about Selena. I mean, I can make a Selena question, but I mean, it's what is your favorite kind of taco?
Right now I'm really into the quesadilla ones. They're so good. But
Now,
if not for those, then I always like al pastor.
yeah, see, and that's what I tell everybody all the time. Like my ending thing on that is always, in the Latino community, al pastor is the go-to, right? If a restaurant makes good al pastor, that's what I'm saying. If a restaurant makes good al pastor, then you know they make good food in general.
Well, for me, it's always the chicken tacos. If you can make a good chicken taco, then I worry less about the rest of the meat, because like I feel like people phone in the chicken tacos too much, and I love chicken. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, if they can do a good al pastor, I love it.
Exactly. Now I'm all for that too. I gotta do follow-up question for your first thing. So, being somebody who grew up Latina, right? When it comes to birria, do you prefer, carne like everybody's like doing it now, or do you prefer chivo?
I don't like the chivo only because it reminds me of having to go to all those quinceañeras and weddings and being served like the goat birria that just was kind of dry and not very good and flavorless. And just being forced fed, like you just knew you were gonna have birria at the wedding.
Chivo.
It's different now. I would never say no to chivo. But like the carne de res is always like my favorite.
Okay. I just had to follow that up just because you being somebody who's in the same community, right?
No, it reminds me of all those weddings. I had to sit there and eat the I'd be like, oh gosh, here we go again.
So many people just don't realize that birria, like actual birria, traditionally comes in chivo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you don't see a lot of goats here.
Yeah. That's always the question. I'm from San Francisco, so it's like the question is always, where the hell are there goats around here that they're getting goat meat?
Good question.
Again, another reason for me to relate to the dead Lucky, because she's from San Francisco. All right, so what's some advice you might give for anybody trying to get into the industry?
Depends on which part. Do your homework. Do your homework. If you don't know, like this industry is all about who you know. Sadly, that is the truth. You can force your way in through pure talent, but it's 10 times easier if you know what you're talking about, who you're talking about, and be prepared to pay your dues. And just remember, this industry is not fair. It's like I could say I came from it from both ways. Like I just told you guys, I was in this industry for 20 years, not really doing anything, having to go back and forth. And I put in my dues at Saban Brands for 10 years, learning the industry and creating relationships. And so I did. I mean, it worked. It was hard work sometimes. It was really hard work. But then when I left, I had all these connections that when it came time to me to be like, hey, I think I'm finally going to try to be a writer. I had all these connections and all these amazing people that were in the industry that I had worked with who had thought highly of me and thought well of me, that I could call and be like, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. And that's what I did. I was like, I'm thinking of doing this. Do you think I've got a shot in hell? And and then I listened to their critiques, and it was always like, I think it'll be hard. I think for you, you could do it. And because of that, when opportunities came up, they thought of me. And so that's how I mean, Kyle Higgins, through all that work that we did together, he's now a friend. And so I was really lucky that, he gave me a couple things to do, some backup pages and Radiant Black and some other things. And I was producing another show called The Unleashed with Megan. And so he trusted me enough to be like, hey, do you want to write a book? Like, pitch me a book. And that's how Dead Lucky came about. And then because I had worked all those years with Boom Studios, and I knew the editors and we were friends. Again, don't be an asshole. Also a big, like, people don't realize, like, if you're, I know I'm running on a tangent, but like, I think the biggest piece of advice, if you're trying to break into an industry, is stop criticizing everything people do in that industry, especially the one that you want to join, and tag them with it because they see you. Like, don't be an asshole. People remember that. Like, it's not like somebody's going to look at that constructive criticism and be like, oh my God, that's the best constructive criticism I ever got. Please come write for us, join us. Like, no, that's never going to happen.
Right.
Be a nice person, work hard, treat everybody well, from assistants to presidents. Assistants are going to be the presidents someday. Never forget that. Everybody's putting in their dues to move forward. And so when I did the Dead Lucky, I got my first issue of Dead Lucky and I sent it to the editor of Boom, that I had worked with, Daphna. And I was like, hey, Daphna, like, can you, like, I respect your opinion. I think you're great. Can you please read this and just tell me what you think? And that's how Power Rangers came about. They're like, hey, this is amazing. We think that we're looking for a writer for Power Rangers. Will you write this with me? Write this for us. And that's how I came onto Power Rangers. And then from there, I got to, because people were reading the Dead Lucky and Power Rangers, people at Marvel found me. And they're like, hey, we saw what you did on Power Rangers and the Dead Lucky. Would you like to consider writing this 8-page story in Women of Marvel? And then you did it. If you did a good job there, hey, do you want to write this like miniseries for Echo? And like, hey, do you want to write this print miniseries for Gwen? So you have to do the work, and you have to not be a jerk. Be grateful for everything you get. This is an incredibly competitive industry. Especially if you don't know people. So get to know people. And when you do get those jobs, make sure they remember you. Every gig I get now, it is not because I applied for it. It is because somebody recommended me for it and said, I really like this person. You should work with her. And and literally, I kid you not, like, I'm thinking of one job that I applied for and I got. Like, every job has been, hey, you're looking for a writer? Look, my buddy here is like really amazing. Why don't you meet with her? And so, and that's how you get these gigs. So work your way into, like, it's hard it's hard. I worked my butt off to get into this industry and make those connections. But don't think any job is beneath you, because you never know when it's going to lead to the next thing.
Everybody works as a PA at some point. So, I mean, that's kind of like,
everybody works as a PA and nobody likes an asshole. There's people that can get away with being jerks. But those are few and far between. And usually those people are much more well-connected than you will ever be. And so if you have no connections, if you don't know anybody in this industry, you have to be a pleasure to work with. One of the things I feel like has gotten me really far is that I was a producer for 10 years. So I was on the other side. I was the licensor giving notes, and I understood some of those notes were ridiculous, because I remember hearing those notes from people above me being like, this is the stupidest note I've ever gotten in my life. And I have to now give it to a writer and justify why this note has to be a thing.
yeah.
But you have to take the note. Like, even if it's a stupid note, or even if it's a note that you don't understand, or if it's a note that you don't think makes sense, you have to recognize which notes to fight for. You have to recognize that that this is a job you're getting paid. So, like, if you don't want to get paid, go be a poet. Like, if you want to work for a licensor, if you want to work for people like editors who work very hard jobs, they have like 10 books at a time, very limited time. You want to make their job as easy as possible. You want to deliver quality work. You don't want to be a hassle when they're asking you to give notes. Yeah, stand by your work and do the best job you can, but also understand the notes. So if they're giving you a note, try to find the middle ground and be like, okay, how can I address the note that they're giving me? Like, what is the note behind the note, right? If they're saying, I don't like this outfit, it's too green. Okay, what are they responding to beyond the color? Because there's obviously something that's tripping them up, right? And so look at the note and then come at the note from a different way. Like it's rare. Like sometimes I'll just take the note as they give them to me. But for me, what I usually tend to do is if they give me a note and I'm like, oh, I don't know if I like that note, but what is it tripping them up? What's a different way to do it that is going to get them a little more of what I want, but also get them what they want? And when you are open to that collaboration, and when you're not a jerk, and when you're not like my craft and I know what I'm doing, like, yeah, some producers are jerks, some writers are jerks. But there's assholes in every industry, especially Hollywood, because ego is such a thing there.
Right.
When you come across a genuinely nice person that is talented and hardworking and makes your job easier, you want to work with them again.
Right.
And so be as lovely to work for as you can, but do the work. Don't come in late. Meet your deadlines. I have not met my deadline this week. I'm going to go back and work on that right now. But
hence why I'm trying to get you off.
But, be a pleasure to work with so that people remember you and will want to work with you again, because that's how you're going to get gigs.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. So another hard question. And this is a given, but who would win in a fight? Bibiana or Alex Murphy?
I'm always going to say BB.
That's usually the answer we expect.
Yeah.
Why would she not? No, she's not doing it on her own.
Yeah.
She's got rope. Like, that's the whole point of the Dead Lucky, right? Like, she has these ghosts that are around her, and she uses them to inhabit mechs. So she recreated her squad in robot spirit form. It was not just her. If it was just her, yeah, she'd get her ass kicked. But it's not. She's got, she's got a whole squad backing her up, even in death. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, listen, RoboCop's a badass dude, but he's in there by himself. He doesn't stand a chance. And because he's mostly made of electronics, she could possess him.
He's also slow as shit. So I mean, like,
Yeah.
And she could possess him. She could send one of her spirits into him and overload his circuits. So
right. Like, all right, Alex Murphy's done. So what's next for you? Do you have any appearances or anything that you can talk about that's not under NDA? We didn't really talk about. I don't even know if it's official, the stuff with Nasio Company.
Yeah, that's all official. That's good. So obviously, the Dead Lucky, we have issue 11 coming up next week. So keep an eye on the Dead Lucky. The trade is out. If you haven't read Dead Lucky, you're interested in it, please. Like, anything Massiverse is amazing. You guys should definitely check it out. It's published by Image. It's a whole little superhero universe. I happen to write the Dead Lucky, but Radiant Black, Rogue Sun, Inferno Girl Red, all incredible. Kyle Higgins also has Moon Man coming out, which has nothing to do with me, but you guys should, it's with him and Kid Cudi, and it's really cool. I have Power Rangers coming out. Spider-Gwen Smash is going out. We have and after Spider-Gwen Smash, we're doing a one-shot, oversized one-shot that directly is a direct sequel to what happens in Spider-Gwen Smash, and deals a little more with the relationship with her and MJ. So that's really fun. And then also I got to do some really cool stuff with Oni Press and Nacelle, which is they took a lot of these amazing IPs back from like the 40s, 50s, 60s, 90s, brought them all together into their own universe. And they are so I don't know if you remember RoboForce or Biker Mice from Mars.
Yes.
The Cowboys of Moo Mesa. They're all living in their own universe now, and I get to be the person that introduces you guys to them in comic form, which is very cool. So I get to do it's actually a really big honor. Like they they hired one writer to do all of those books, and that's me. So definitely check them out. They're a lot of fun. I'm working on issue 0 now in the RoboForce miniseries, but we're gonna have Biker Mice coming up and Great Garlu and a bunch of other stuff. So it's really cool. Their toys are amazing. The cell is the same people that did the toys that made us, and so they definitely know their toys. Brian Volk-Weiss is amazing. He's really, really passionate about what he does. That's all I can really talk about. Everything else is in games.
Right. Now, yeah, Brian's coming on at the end of next month.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, look at this toy. Hold on. I gotta take this off or else I'll fall. This is from the RoboForce line. Look at this badass guy. Max 89.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, he's like, look at this chunky boy. And
Graveyard, if you're a RoboForce fan from back in the 80s, dude, what they're doing with this is amazing. I was at the press conference at LA Comic-Con. It was so dope, man.
Oh man.
They're what they're doing is they're taking these old it's actually becomes part of the story, like these characters that have become obsolete and are trying to come back and become relevant again. And so they took these designs and turned them into new ones. And look at this little chunky boy. He's so fun.
Wow.
So
great.
Yeah. And the Biker Mice toys look great. And I have Sectars up here somewhere. So I love it when I get toys. I worked at a toy company, so I'm just are there toys? Give me all I have a storage unit that I need to figure out what to do with. But yeah, the Sellers I'm really excited about. It's a lot of fun.
I'm literally playing with toys right now while I'm talking to you. So I mean,
same, bro. I have on my desk because I like to play with toys while I'm writing. I've got Finster, and I got one of my friends got me the
nice
version of Spider-Gwen.
Nice.
Man. Well, this has been fun. Where can everybody follow you and find out more about you if they wanna figure out more and learn more about
Yeah. Like I said, I don't want to get too into it because it's stupid, honestly. But I've gotten a little bit of a doxing situation going on. So I tend to be a little quieter on social media than I used to be, but which has absolutely nothing to do with me. They just got mad at my girlfriend. A whole different thing. But Misty_Flores on Twitter and Instagram is where you can find me. And my DMs are not open on either, but you can always just check out my website. I have, if you want to actually reach out. I have an email address on that website that you can always reach out and talk to me about. I tend to be a little busy, but I'll always try to respond if you want me to. The only thing I can't take are story ideas.
Right.
So, because I just obviously I'm a writer, I can't do that.
Right.
Because then you get the whole, they stole my idea, plagiarism bullshit thing.
Yeah, it makes me sad because I would love to get some ideas and get feedback, but I always have to be really careful. Only because of that, because I work for licensors like Marvel and Power Rangers, I have to be really careful.
Right.
But yeah, I'm always around on those socials, and always happy to hear from everybody. I really appreciate you guys.
Well, thank you for coming on and blessing us with your presence here, because it's been an amazing conversation. And if you ever want to come on and nerd with us again, by all means, we would love to have you on and just kind of nerd out the second time around.
Same. I mean, you know how to find me now, so just let me know. When the Silvers comes back, we can talk about those guys again.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming on.
All right. Have fun.
All right.
With your new trivia stuff.
I know, right?
All right.
Bye, guys. Thank you guys for everything, especially the comments. I saw everything. I appreciate you guys. Talk to you later.
All right.
Bye.
Dude, that was dope.
Yeah.
I was already excited that she was coming on the show, but 1,000 times more. It's funny how she almost knew exactly what I was going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Because she got into the PTSD and she got into a lot of the Power Ranger stuff. I was going to ask her if she was a PA at some point. She goes, I started as a PA. I'm like, Should I just even do an interview? Just let her talk.
That was awesome.
She knows what I'm going to ask.
That was absolutely amazing. Loved it.
Yeah, no, it was great. I'm so happy that she came on and hung out with us.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right. Well, after that awesome interview, I mean, we have to give her a plug. We have to give our promos here, right?
Oh, that's right. So, ladies and gentlemen, this show is brought to you by Poddex. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Poddex are a unique interview question and episode starting prompt in the palm of your hand. So whether you are a new podcaster or an existing broadcaster looking to grow your audience and get more engagement, level up with poddex.com. Guys, we do close-up magic.
We do.
And the close-up magic that we do is with Poddex. There you go. Look at that. What is our question of the day, sir?
Our question is, what is one thing people buy that you think is a total waste of money? And this is going to be interesting because we're nerds and we buy stuff that most people don't need to buy.
Yeah, I mean, we buy things that most people think are a big waste of money. So,
yes.
If I were to say, that's offensive, Darren. He said, I'm offended by that.
Yeah.
What is something that people buy that is a total waste of money?
I'll give you mine. It's most topical. Ready?
I was going to say crypto.
Stanley Cups.
Oh, okay. Look, that is a thing right now. Jackie is the OG Stanley Cup haver.
She's the green. She has the navy
She has
green
the
one.
thermos.
Right?
She's got the green thermos,
Yeah.
right? So she's actually got a thermos. She's had that for years. So
Right.
she had it before it was a trend.
Oh yeah. Let me rephrase that. The pink special ones from Target. I'll just go with that.
Fucking Say Wong said, "You nerds and your weak shit."
Say Wong, how many anime pillows do you have?
That's what I'm saying. Like, how many pillows do you have, dude?
Right. What
I'm
do you
sure
think?
you have at least one.
Oh, I'm sure.
Say Wong. I met you in person. You seem like the kind of guy that has at least one bot.
Yeah.
He said 0. Okay. I'm just giving you shit, man.
They're not pillows. They're friends.
It's like Krieger in
yes. Yep.
He has the weebiest AI wife, and it's so funny. I love it.
Yep.
So I would say crypto, man. I feel like, or not to take it a step further. It's not just crypto.
NFTs.
NFTs.
Yep.
NFTs are still to this day pointless.
You mean? Sure. You immediately knew that. I could not tell you that word for the life of me.
He's like, you mean the Dakimakura?
Yeah, no clue. I love Archer, but I have no clue.
Me too. So yeah, that's it, guys. Get that. Go to Poddex and put in the code nerding10. Get 10% off your order. Completely worth it, guys. So you guys have noticed the entire show I've kept my energy up, and you may be wondering what keeps that energy going, ladies and gentlemen. It's Tubby. Normally I would press the button, but it's all the way on the other side of the room. I'm not going to go get up and touch it.
You need a reaching stick.
I know, right? Ladies and gentlemen, Debbie is a brand of energy drinks created to help focus, concentration, reaction time with no jitters or crash. Debbie contains no maltodextrin, no sugars, no fillers, no artificial colors or dyes. Now, you may be asking yourself right now, and I know Graveyard does every time.
Every night.
What makes Debbie different from all of the other supplements that are out there? Ladies and gentlemen, Debbie contains Neurofactor. Neurofactor is a neurotropic derived from the coffee fruit. Neurofactor helps give your brain focus and clarity with 150 milligrams of caffeine, help keep you, and 3 essential B vitamins. Can't forget the B vitamins. Help keep you alert and energized. Find out more about Debbie at www.debbie.gg. Use that code NERDING10. Get 10% off your order.
Yes.
Yeah.
And don't forget to write your W representative to make pickle flavor a thing.
Pickle flavor is never going to be a thing.
I want it to be.
I don't want it to be a thing.
Did you see my co-handle tonight?
Oh, I didn't. What is it? Oh, the whitest ranger. You like how mine is just I like turtles.
Yeah.
So guys, let's get into this best speedsters
Yes.
here because we are overdue on finishing this guy here. So let's get into this best speedster. You want to give us a recap real quick?
Yes. So last time, A-Train beat out the Wizard. Steve Austin, the $6 million man, beat out Speedy Gonzalez. Gladiator beat out Velocity. Quicksilver beat out Darkseid. Roadrunner beat out Goku. Reverse Flash beat Barry Allen. Wally West beat Taz, the Tasmanian Devil. Omni-Man beat out Zoom. And the running guy beat out Saint Saya. I don't know how you say that name. I don't care. But from where we were from last week, we still have a tiebreaker between Silver Surfer and 100 Cups of Coffee, Philip J. Fry.
So we're gonna re-vote here on this one.
Yes.
So between Silver Surfer, the man who can pretty much instantaneously transport from one side of the galaxy to the other,
Mm-hmm.
and Philip J. Fry, the speedster who drank a lot of coffee.
Yep.
Who is the fastest speedster? Chat, this is on you right here. Say Wong says
Fry.
Philip J. Fry.
Yes. Oh, I completely agree. Because here's my argument once again from last week. If you give Philip J. Fry the surfboard, he becomes a Silver Surfer. If you give the Silver Surfer 100 cups of coffee, he doesn't become Philip J. Fry's capabilities.
The thing is that if you give 100 cups of coffee to the Silver Surfer, he's just still the Silver Surfer.
I'm saying you take his board away, you swap what gives him the speed. Could he do it?
Yeah, and remember, like, you know, the majority of his powers are endowed to him by Galactus.
Yes. Tater, it is 100 cups of coffee, Philip J. Fry from Futurama versus the Silver Surfer. Oh, Darren says Silver Surfer. Okay, so I'm not going to lie, as people know that in a disconcerting chat, that I've been watching a lot of Death Battle again recently.
Oh yeah, and you realize how much you love that show because they really analyze everything,
except they're hard on for DC. DC always wins, always.
But the thing is with DC characters in general, DC characters are gods.
Well, okay, so here's where I'm going with this though, because the exception is when it's a cartoon against DC, the cartoon wins.
Okay.
So for that logic, once again, because they said who would win, Aquaman or SpongeBob, because the cartoon logic is so inherently high, the feats they pull off in the cartoon are absurdly fast, and therefore break all laws of physics, that no matter what mode of God, they can never beat them.
Right. That makes sense. That logic actually makes sense.
Right. You know, because they did the Mask versus Deadpool. The Mask just comes back because of cartoon logic. He disintegrates in the power and comes back because of cartoons.
Right. Because I mean, but technically, Deadpool also has a lot of cartoon logic to him.
Yes. I mean, yes, Silver Surfer can warp time and space. Warping doesn't equal speed. So I guess, Darren, to your point is if you fold the universe in half and you stick the pencil through the piece of paper, just because you're able to get from one side to the other, does that make you fast or does it make you teleport? Speed is not the same as teleportation.
Because I mean, and that's kind of what one of my arguments early last week when we were talking about Goku, right? Like Goku can teleport, but that isn't necessarily. But he is also so fast that like it's one of the points in Dragon Ball Z is that he's so fast that the naked eye can't keep up with his movement.
Speed is not time. Darren.
Yeah, speed is not time.
You can have speed in a black hole where there is no time.
Time dilation theory, baby.
Yep. Yeah. So are you still sticking with Silver Surfer, the Herald of Galactus?
As much as I don't want Silver Surfer to be eliminated here, the logic about Fry makes so much sense.
Right.
But I think I have to go with Philip J. Fry.
Okay. That means Fry narrowly moves forward. It's gonna be interesting to see who he's going to be up against next. So, all right. We should make a soundbite instead of it's time for a death battle. It should be it's time for a nerd bracket.
I know a voice actor that can record that for us.
You do? Cool.
he typically is on this show, but it's been a while.
All right. So next up, because we got to go fast on this bracket, right? Because it's all about speedsters.
I gotta go fast.
Jay Garrick versus Shazam.
So Jay Garrick, the original Flash.
The original Flash versus Shazam.
Versus Shazam, who
Yep.
is he's the speed of Mercury, right?
Yep.
Yes. I mean, technically, both of them are endowed by the same god for the same powers.
Yeah.
So they're kind of equal footing on this because both of them are endowed by Hermes.
Yes.
Because yeah, the speed of Mercury, but I mean, like Mercury is just the Roman name for Hermes.
Right. Yeah.
So this one becomes a little difficult because they're literally their powers come from the same god.
Yes. Now, in theory, the mental fortitude from one of the gods for Shazam would give him the knowledge to go faster.
Yeah, whereas Jay Garrick just runs.
Correct.
And Jay Garrick's never been known for being like
The fastest speed. The fastest Flash? No, I don't think so.
No. Oh, he's not the fastest Flash by any means, man. The
No.
dude, he is definitely not the fastest Flash. That goes to Impulse. That's Bart Allen.
Yes.
Bart Allen is the fastest Flash out of all of them.
So for me, I'm going with Shazam just because he has more knowledge to be able to then go faster.
Because he has the knowledge of Solomon?
Yep.
You know what? I'm going to go with that logic too. Again, as much as I would love to say Jay Garrick is, like I mentioned at the very beginning of this, he's never been known as being the fastest Flash.
Oh, no. He's the OG. He is the time period where they didn't have ridiculous powers.
Right. He's
If Superman didn't fly, he could literally jump buildings in a single bound.
Yeah. Jay Garrick, he's the golden age Flash. He's before they did Barry Allen.
Mm-hmm.
He was the dude. Him and his helmet that endowed him with his powers.
Right.
Whereas Shazam, and that's the other thing is Jay Garrick, if he loses his helmet, he no longer has the speed.
Right. He's not imbued into him. He has an artifact to give him the speed.
Right. Kind of like how, yeah. And so I mean, like, if we're going with that right there, given that Shazam, Captain Marvel, for those of you who are like me and don't want to give up that name. I like both characters. I don't like that they, got rid of that title from him.
Right.
I feel like that character earned that title.
Sure. I mean, yeah. So you're saying Shazam as well?
I'm gonna say Shazam.
Yeah. Hey, not too bad for a guy who doesn't know DC, right? To have an argument in there. All right. So,
like you didn't say anything that wasn't true about the character. So
I know things sometimes.
like, I've watched the movies, even though they don't talk about this shit.
Oh yeah.
If
All
you
right.
if you haven't watched the first Shazam movie, I mean,
Oh, I absolutely have.
okay, I was going to
Absolutely
say you
Yeah.
need to, because for a movie that's not going for a horror element, it's got some horror themes to it that are pretty good because it's a horror director.
Yes. That's why I think Sam Raimi does amazing in Multiverse Madness, despite all the shit people give it.
Mhm.
So, all right. So next up is Bircher, which I believe is from Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, Birder?
Yeah,
Okay.
which I know nothing about other than that Broly is somehow stronger than the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah, I forgot that Birder's fast.
Yeah. Yeah. Versus Speed.
Speed. Which character is that?
Speed is he's Quicksilver's nephew.
Oh,
His
okay.
Tommy.
Oh, okay. No. Okay.
Yeah.
I know now. I know exactly who that is. Yeah, Speed and Wiccan.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot they gave him the most basic name ever.
I am Speed.
Yeah, it's Speed and Wiccan, the Young Avengers.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's been alluded to, at least with Speed, that he is faster than Quicksilver, is it not?
He is.
Yeah.
100%. He's faster than Quicksilver.
Right.
And Quicksilver slouch. I mean, the dude's fast. So it's like,
Yeah, but because they officially retconned, Quicksilver being a mutant, so he was still kind of imbued from, Chthon, right?
Mhm.
So he's not full on mutant, while Speed is a legit mutant.
right.
So his powers are inherently natural to him versus something that was given to him.
Thanks to Grandpa Magneto.
Oh, not his grandpa anymore, but yeah.
Not anymore, 'cause that was retconned, but I mean, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I don't know anything about Bircher in the slightest.
Birder is he's this. If there was an embodiment of the fastest fuck boy meme,
Yeah.
it would be Birder.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Fastest fuck boy.
So, do you think I mean, what do you vote for? I mean, what do you think?
Oh no, Speed's definitely faster.
Speed's definitely faster.
Yeah.
Okay.
As a character, Speed is definitely faster.
Yeah, like it's always going to go in that Dragon Ball Z always goes into that cartoon logic though too, and that's
To an extent, not like fully, because there are still limits to the characters within their universe.
yeah, for the most part, until they go, oh, we made it too powerful. Here's a MacGuffin that he has to wear to control his speed.
Right. Because I mean, you look at Goku. He has, they're like, okay, well, we can't make him faster, so what are we gonna do? We give him instant transmission. He can go where the fuck he wants as long as he knows where it is.
Right. Chat wants to know. Shadow 509 wants to know what you're making. He is making.
Go ahead.
Oh.
I am making the AT-AT. So I'll give you guys. I'll show you guys the progress report here in a second. I'm putting a couple pieces on the legs here.
Yeah.
But I am making the original Lego AT-AT. So not the UCS one. I don't have that one.
Mm.
I'm not rich and I can't afford a $700 AT-AT.
Yeah. So I mean, chat, let us know. No one's once again. It is Bircher from Dragon Ball Z versus Speed, Wanda Maximoff's son.
Right. So that's the body right there. Obviously, the head's going to go right here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working on the legs right now. So I mean, and these are posable and adjustable.
Yeah.
So you can move it around and make it look like it's going. If you have a snow speeder, you can make the snow speeder knock it down.
All right, so we have 2 votes for Speed. I think Speed is winning this year.
Oh, Shot of 509 is my nephew.
So I think Speed definitely is moving on here. So
He said maybe his mom will get me another one. His mom being my cousin.
Nice. All right, so Speed moves on. And every time you say AT-AT, it instantly in my head is the words that came out of the Martians from Mars Attacks. Yeah. All right, so Speed moves on. Next up, we have the Bullet. Which is from, I don't remember. DC Thompson.
Like he's a DC character?
Maybe not. What's the Bullet from?
Or he's from DC Thompson?
I made this list so long ago, I don't remember. Where did I get that from? So anyway, it's gonna be the Bullet versus, once I figure out who the Bullet is. Verse is North Star from Marvel.
From Marvel,
yeah.
North Star is a member of
Alpha Flight.
Alpha Flight. That's what it was. I was like, it's the Canadian group.
Yes. Yes. Who is? I mean, considering we don't even know who the Bullet is.
I know, it's like, should we all just vote for?
I think so. I can't remember what list I even saw that from.
Hold on. Let me see if I can figure it out.
The Bullet. From the Tick.
You know what's funny is I was thinking that too. I was like, is
that's where I got it from. I forgot about the Tick.
I was like, I'm thinking I was thinking that too. I was like, I'm thinking he's probably from the Tick.
He wears the giant bullet casing on his hat.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Tater's saying Bullet.
I think I might actually end up going with Tater on this one.
Really?
And you know what? No. Actually, thinking back on on some of the Alpha Flight comic books,
they're freaking fast.
I think I do end up going with North Star because that dude is fucking fast.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree.
He can have full conversations with what's his name with Quicksilver while they were running.
Oh yeah. So it is the Bullet from the Tick comic books. I'm saying he's going with Bullet because he gets shot from a cannon, which I think is going to be inherently slower than North Star.
Than North Star, right? North Star
versus North Star, part of the Wonder Twin powers activate from Alpha Flight.
Part of the Wonder Twin powers activate. He does.
Come on,
Wonder Twin,
doesn't he?
Yes.
Especially next to his sister. Yeah, I just see them doing Wonder Twin power activate, and boom, form of speed.
Form of the Speed Force. Wrong universe, idiot.
All right, so
that's such a Deadpool thing to say too, like especially because Deadpool works with Alpha Flight a lot.
Right.
It's just a form of the Speed Force. That's the wrong universe, idiot.
How has it not been a thing? Like, I can't be the only one that thinks they look like the Wonder Twins.
That's funny, man.
Oh, Alpha Flight.
Jason and Jaina, right?
Yeah.
The Wonder
form of.
Form of.
Yes. All right. So
Well, the best things are like the Adult Swim jokes, right?
Oh yes.
Yes. Form of a tampon.
Yep.
What? A tampon? Form of a bucket of water.
All right. I think North Star's moving on. Sorry, Tick. We love you, but your characters are a little bizarre. All right.
Hey, man, those characters are still awesome.
I know. All right. So next up we have the Sentry versus Sonic the Hedgehog.
The Sentry from Marvel, right? Is who we're talking about here.
Yes.
Okay. Sentry or Sonic the Hedgehog? Sonic the Hedgehog is just another form of Goku.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'm gonna actually go with Sonic the Hedgehog on this. Sentry's fast. I'll give you that. Sentry is a fast character, right?
Oh yeah, he's very fast.
He's supposed to be Superman, right?
Yes.
But like he's Marvel. He's another version of Marvel, another Marvel Superman because Marvel has like fucking 10 Superman knockoffs, right?
Gladiator.
Gladiator's another one. Obviously, we're saying the Sentry right now. Sentry is Superman with DID because he becomes the Void, right? So it's like,
yeah.
Sewong is correct in this too, though. Sonic has cartoon logic on his side.
Yes, I mean Sonic absolutely. I think is going to take this away.
I think it's not just the fact that Sonic is fast, but I mean, you give him the Chaos Emeralds, and he becomes infinitely more fast.
But how many chili dogs is too many chili dogs to go fast?
Chili dogs, I don't think they actually make him fast because I think after about like 10 feet, he has to take a shit. So I mean, like,
just comes out as a mist.
It's fucking hedgehog spray.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit.
All right, yeah, I think it's pretty unanimous that Sonic goes ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it makes the most sense. Sonic the Hedgehog makes way more sense.
All right, I love RNG sometimes.
God, what did RNG do? RNGesus!
It pitted Black Adam against Superman.
Black Adam against Superman?
Yeah.
Okay, well, 100% Superman wins that. But I mean, like, still, Black Adam versus Superman, they're pretty on par.
Right?
Just Superman in general is a faster character.
Yes. Yeah.
That's funny though that they RNG decided we're gonna put Black Adam, who is basically the magic version of another magic version of Superman, because he's basically just a mirror of Shazam.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Except evil-ish.
It depends on what comic that we're talking about.
Evil-ish. I said ish.
Because he started off as a villain, but then he's mostly a villain. Most of the time that he, like most comics that you see him in, he's a villain, but he's also he's also an anti-hero in a lot of his stories.
Well, it just pretty much depends on, are you trying to destroy his country? Yes or no. If it's yes, then you're the villain, he's the hero.
Right. If it's him defending Kahndaq, it's definitely.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I agree. Superman. I think Superman takes that away, just up in a way, if you will.
Fair. But fair.
So you agree, Superman all the way, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Superman's going to go pretty far in this. Because Superman is one of those characters that has like infinite speed. Even like when he's gonna be at least top 8.
Yeah,
because he was neck and neck with Wally West, and Wally West was fast.
Yes.
So like and then, of course in the comics they never tell you whether Superman or Wally West wins the race. They always end it on finish line, and you never know who won.
Yep, they did that with the ending of the Justice League.
That's right. That was the last scene in the Justice League cartoon,
Yeah.
or Justice League cartoon, and in the Justice League movie.
Yep. All right, so Superman takes that. All right. So next up, we have Dash from The Incredibles
Incredibles, yeah.
versus Invincible from Invincible.
Oh, that's not fair.
That was number 2 and number 31 that it placed it that way.
That's not fair because we don't know Dash's potential.
Correct.
Because the way we've seen Dash is him coming into his powers.
Yeah.
So he's more like a young Wally West before he realizes that he is fucking fast.
Yes.
Right? Versus it was Dash against
Darren wants to know who made this list. I did, Darren. And if you joined the Nerdington post, you can post bracket ideas on there too. Like the little cross promo. So I mean that's the question. Who do you if Dash gets up to be the age of Invincible, let's say 17, 18.
Yeah.
Will he be faster than Invincible?
And that's where it gets that's where this whole thing is difficult because Invincible is fucking fast, and it's because of his dad. Right? You know, so it's like who ends up being faster? Is it Dash or is it Invincible?
Darren, that's the point. You're comparing apples to apples. That's the whole idea of the bracket. Yeah. They're all fast. Say wants a Dash versus grown ass person. Just because you're a grown ass doesn't make you faster. You can still be a kid and be really fast.
Yeah, Invincible. You got to remember he's like Superboy Prime. If we're gonna compare him to any character, right? He's like Superboy Prime, right? So
right.
He's basically Superman with limitations until he becomes an adult.
Yes.
You know, and you have Invincible, and he's already coming into his powers. Well, he learned his powers late though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, like, I mean, you know, he didn't learn his powers until he was about 16, 17.
Which is about the mutant age of powers.
Right.
Puberty tends to bring that out.
Right. It's when you start developing powers in about 18. Versus Dash was born with his powers.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of already knew his powers as a kid. If we even the playing field and we have them both 18, I think Dash wins it.
You think Dash wins it?
I think Dash wins it because by that point, Dash has probably learned the Speed Force. He's already learned how to slow down time, you know, and things like that. Whereas Invincible is just learning his powers. Now, fast forward another 10 years, you put them both at 30 years
old. At their prime, yeah.
Yeah, you put them both at 30 years old. I think Invincible wins that. So, I mean, it kind of, I think what we need to do is establish what age they are in what we're doing right now.
I think idea would be their fastest. That's always what we're going for is the fastest instance of the character. So in both their cases can be their prime.
So okay, theoretically. So if we're gonna go with if that's the case, if we're gonna go with them at their prime, I'm gonna go with Invincible because he is a dude who is still learning to figure out his potential.
Right.
Whereas Dash is fast, but the way he's portrayed is more like Jay Garrick than he is, you know, like an Impulse.
Yeah.
So I think I ultimately, based on their personalities and the way that they're written as of now, I think I go with Invincible.
I agree, and Darren said Invincible because he's invincible. But no, I think Invincible as well. I think that what I think will be the hindrance to Dash over all of this
Mhm.
is the fact that he has to live in the world where supers are not accepted yet.
Right.
So he will never be able to get to his maximum potential without being hindered, without being some constraint put against him. Well, Invincible is a hero, and people recognize him as a hero, and they're okay with it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he's going to be able to explore his powers more over his lifetime.
So I'm sorry, Robert Dashel Parr, but I think you're going to lose this one. As much as I love you as a character, I don't think he moves on in this round.
Yeah. And you know, because Invincible, we don't know how long he's going to live. He's going to have half the lifetime his dad does. So he's going to have more time in his life to get his speed up even more.
Right. Well, like I said, just kind of with the power set, right? I mean, basically they're evil. They're evil Kryptonians, right? So I mean, like,
yeah,
you know, they're supposed to be the most unbeatable race in the entire galaxy.
Right.
And you know, the other thing is Earth atmosphere enhances his powers.
Right.
So he has potential to continue to get stronger, whereas Dash is limited by Earth.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, how long did it take him to get to where he met? They met on Mars. How long did it take him to get to Mars? Like 2 seconds.
Ooh, Invincible?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, he was there like instantly.
Yeah, stuff that takes a very long time. So he's going to, without the limitation of gravity, he is going to be inherently faster than Dash ever will be, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think ultimately, going with it with the arguments that we're making right now, I think ultimately Invincible is a faster character.
Yeah. All right, so that brings up, we're finally at the next round of the bracket.
Yay!
And some people might think we're doing a WWE bracket here, because when I say Steve Austin and A-Train, who's faster between those two guys? No, Steve Austin with his mechanical knees, or no, A-Train from The Boys versus Steve Austin, the $6 Million Man.
We can make him. We can rebuild him. We can make him faster, stronger.
Right. I mean, I think Steve Austin was able to move on to the next round just because he was who he was up against last time, which was Speedy Gonzalez.
Right.
I don't think he's faster than A-Train. I think A-Train's definitely faster.
He's up against the true speedster.
Yeah.
You know, in this one right here. So I think in the just right off the bat, I give this to A-Train.
Oh yeah. And what if he's on V? I mean,
if he's on V for sure, because he's super enhanced.
Yeah. Yeah. And he was on V when he went through the person.
Yeah, that's right. He was on V when he went through the person.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, I think John Mez isn't fast. What?
What did John Mez say? He's fast as fuck.
John Mez
isn't fast.
Now's your chance.
John Mez isn't fast. Okay.
Yeah.
And then that gives John Mez a reason to come in the chat right now. Is like, what do you mean I'm not fast?
Exactly. All right, so let us know in the chat if you think, Darren's saying A-Train as well, but I had to throw Steve Austin in here just because, right? All right, so A-Train is moving forward. So we're back to Marvel World. Quicksilver versus Gladiator.
Quicksilver versus Gladiator.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, Quicksilver versus Gladiator.
Yes.
I think I go Quicksilver.
you think Quicksilver?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Quicksilver on this.
I'm trying to remember if he's able to. I'm sure he's been in space.
Lead tall buildings in a single bound.
Well, yeah. But I mean, it just the power set wise, we only see Gladiator kind of flying through the galaxy at just a stupidly fast rate.
Right.
A lot of Quicksilver fans in here. I say Gladiator just because he is stupid fast. And, if he's able to keep up with spaceships, they're traveling within like a day from a different galaxy. Quicksilver because he'll find a way to affect Gladiator's confidence. They're not fighting Se Wong. They're just in a race.
Yeah, they're just running, dude. It's a foot race.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm saying Gladiator just because he has the speed to be able to travel through space, but on your own free will. You have to have the momentum to be able to get out of it. So I guess the really question is Quicksilver able to run fast enough to get out of the Earth's atmosphere by himself? That takes a lot of power, which is equate to a lot of speed.
I mean, I know Quicksilver can break barriers just by running.
Yeah. Quicksilver because he has help from Galactus.
Oh, Silver Surfer. You're thinking of Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
That's a different character.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think Quicksilver is going to move on here, which is interesting because that puts for the next round, when we get to that, it will be Quicksilver versus A-Train.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, we are
the same character.
Exactly. But anyway, next up, before we get to that part, we have the Road Runner versus Reverse Flash.
Roadrunner versus Reverse Flash.
Mm-hmm.
Reverse Flash.
Right. I absolutely agree that Reverse Flash is going to be faster than the Roadrunner. I said it's funny the people that made it to this round.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I 100% go Reverse Flash on this.
Yeah,
Reverse Flash is just he's a scary fast dude.
He's dangerously fast. Yeah. But say one's going back to the whole running through the picture though. Could Reverse Flash go through the picture? I guess.
Go through the picture?
Like how Roadrunner is able to move so fast, he's literally able to change his molecules to go through.
Go through a picture, right? Okay, no, I get it.
Reverse Flash can do that too, can't he? He can speed up his molecules individually, right?
Yes. Reverse Flash is able to phase shift.
Right. So he would be able to do it the same thing that the Roadrunner is able to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sticking with Reverse Flash.
That kind of like throws a monkey wrench into like everybody's like argument when they're like, "Oh, well, Roadrunner can run through a picture." I mean, the Reverse Flash can phase shift. So, like,
right. But that his phase shift is he has more inherent control over his entire body and speed and different parts of it.
Right.
All right, chat. Let us know if we think that Roadrunner is going to. Oh, Darren's saying his money's on Roadrunner. Say Wong, what say you, sir? I like to hear. Oh, wow! Roadrunner takes it.
Roadrunner won it.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's impressive. I am thoroughly impressed with that outcome. All right, so Roadrunner moves on. That upset. That is an upset. All right, so next up we have Wally West versus Omni-Man.
Ooh, Wally West versus Omni Man. So basically, the repeat of Superman versus the Flash.
Yeah,
I want to say Wally West because he's one of the faster speedsters, but it's like at the same time, Omni Man is just fucking ridiculously fast.
Omni-Man has had thousands of years to perfect his speed.
It's true. That's also another thing to take into mind.
Oh wow! Say Wong and Taylor saying Wally West. What do you think, Phil? I'm going Omni-Man just because he's had more time as a speedster.
Yeah, but again, Wally West he's that reckless dude who doesn't realize that he's supposed to be limiting his speed and runs so fast that it is killing him.
Yes.
Right. So that's the whole thing with Wally West. That's his whole storyline is he doesn't realize he's dying until it's too late.
Right.
And he's so damn fast. That's why they have all these stories about Wally West and Superman racing and shit like that. Right. So
yeah.
I kind of want to go the route of Wally West,
okay.
even though Omni Man is, again, your point is concise. It's Omni Man is somebody who's had thousands of years and training to perfect his speed.
Yeah.
So it's a little difficult. Because there's compelling arguments for both.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's what makes it a little difficult of a pick. Where's the chat going with all this?
We have 2 for Wally West right now.
2 for Wally West.
Yeah, and Darren says he doesn't like Wally West because it sounds like walnut.
Wally West is one of my favorite Flashes. I'm just throwing that out there.
But Omni-Man. Uh-oh, you're the tiebreaker here, Phil.
I'm the tiebreaker?
You're the tiebreaker.
Oh, we've got 2 for Wally West, 2 for Omni-Man?
Yep.
I think I'm going to go Omni-Man.
Oh, wow.
Because the more I think about it, the more I feel like Omni-Man is... Yeah, Omni-Man is essentially Superman.
Yeah. But evil.
But evil, right. And I feel like he is just generally faster than almost anybody he goes up against.
All right, so Omni-Man moves on. That completes the first half to get to our final 8. It's been 2 hours.
Oh, is it time?
It's time.
Oh,
so we'll leave it up there. So just quick little preview. We'll have the running guy versus Philip J. Fry with 100 cups of coffee. Shazam versus Speed. North Star versus Sonic. And then Superman versus Invincible.
Oh, Superman versus Invincible? Okay, no. Classic. I already know who wins that one.
Yeah.
The classic wins every time.
That's fair. But that's where we have that. That'll get us to our top or our final 8 for the Speedsters bracket. which I think we will probably finish this off next week. So I will work on the next bracket. We do have a list of our stuff, but anyone listening right now, anyone watching this later, put a comment below to see what bracket you want us to do next.
Absolutely, guys. Just remember, like, this show, it runs because you guys continue to allow us to do these. So
Yes.
yeah, just put in your votes, guys. Let us know what bracket you want us to do. And if it's a good bracket, then maybe we'll do it.
Yeah.
If
Yeah,
it's a
and
shitty bracket, then we won't.
And we do have up to 32 spots we can do. So obviously the more the merrier, because then we have nerd discussions about who's going to, like this one, who's the fastest. We've had the brackets of with the worst video game movie. We've had the brackets of the worst comic book movie, but also the best. So yeah, we love to hear from you guys, and maybe the top picks we'll put on the Nerdington post and let people vote there too.
And then Sewon goes, so I need you guys to do best anime. And that's where
I will.
And that's where Graveyard's like, sure.
Yes, we all know the best anime is the Guyver. So
I mean, that could be in the running. The Guyver was a fucking great fucking anime, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right, Darren, sci-fi brackets. What about sci-fi brackets? What in sci-fi do you want us to cover?
Yeah, because just saying sci-fi, that's a loaded gun right there, man.
Star Wars versus Star Trek. What? TV shows, movies? Yeah, let us know. Characters? I couldn't name you. I could name you 32 Star Wars characters. I can name you like 5 Star Trek. Survival game monsters.
Ooh, I like that. Survival game monsters?
What do you consider a survival game, Sewong? Survival horror. What do you consider survival horror? You'll have to let us know what. Like I said, put it down in the chat. Put it in the comments of this video on YouTube, so we have that as well.
The amount of characters that would come from Resident Evil alone.
But he wants monsters. Yeah, I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying. Like Resident Evil would net so many of those monsters because, like, we're talking Lickers, we're talking Nemesis himself as like his own monster, right? You're talking like just like the different monsters that are within the world of Resident Evil. And then same thing, you go over to Silent Hill, right? And you have things like Pyramid Head, you have like the nurses, stuff like that, like characters like that. But technically, Slender Man, because he has his own game, right? The Freddy Fazbear could be a character that's in there.
Yeah, I guess the question is, what do you want the stipulation to be to determine who moves on? Do you want it to be most terrifying, cheesiest, most if they fought each other, who would win? Let us know as well as Sewong. So I like that idea.
Right.
Nightmare Creatures is a fantastic game, Tater.
Last of Us, yeah, actually the clickers are actually a really good example. The different types of clickers.
I'd say the most terrifying monsters in The Last of Us are the people.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's true, but that doesn't work out as far as like creature monsters in video games. Like as far as like shock value when you see them.
So do you want to do survival horror monsters that made you shit your pants?
I already know what wins that.
Humans from Last of Us? Yeah.
No. Specifically, a fucking monster that makes you shit your pants.
Mm-hmm.
The baby from Resident Evil 7.
Ooh.
That thing, no matter what. Like Nemesis didn't make me shit myself. Nemesis was a scary character and everything. there's tension and you feel anxiety every time he's on screen, but it's not like the baby where you are just, why was this thing created?
Right. Mr. X was more terrifying than Nemesis.
Mr. X, well, when they redid Mr. X in the first game wasn't all that bad, but when they redid it in the remake, Mr. X is way scarier.
Yeah.
But it's because they used the same engine as Nemesis, and they made him roam around the game the way that Nemesis roams around the game. So, that's what made him. That's what made him that much more scary. Is you put that element on Mr. X, and he's a much scarier character than he was in the first game.
The dinosaurs from Dino Crisis.
He's not wrong. Back in the day, though,
yeah.
But then you play it now, they're not scary at all. But
say less what you want the criteria to be to determine who's honest. Because we'll say, I said the scariest, the ones that make you shit your pants the most, the ones that would win in a fight. Let us know what are the monsters, or just like best design. Even
are we gonna do? Are we gonna do death battle style where we have to analyze each character?
We could.
Yeah, I know. We'd have to do a shit ton of research.
Yeah. But I have it notated, so we'll do that.
We did video game characters a long time ago. I mean, it might be time to redo video game characters. That might be fun.
We'll have to overall look and design. I like that.
I do like that.
Design and look would kind of just, the idea is to drive terror into you. So
you're right. And at that point, that what would be fun if we did that bracket is we could probably put them on screen so that people could actually vote.
I think so. We'll do that. We'll work on that. I have another week before we have to get or 2 weeks really until we get to that anyway. So I'll work on that.
That's 2 people voting for character design. So I like that. I like that. Mm-hmm. I like the idea behind that.
Awesome.
He said I see Nemesis winning if it's a death battle. Because Nemesis is going to be the most intelligent out of all of them, even though he looks like he's a big dummy.
Yeah, but when Chris can defeat him, he's not terrifying.
I was going to say, let's take that back. What's his name? The main villain from Resident Evil, Wesker, Albert Wesker.
Yeah.
If anybody wins that, it's Albert Wesker, just because he can outthink everything that's there.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I'll work on getting the list. Say along, we'll put it on as long as you follow us in the Nerdton post, I will post the top 32 that I find, and if there's anything in there that you think I missed, and we have another 32, we can always do another bracket too.
Right, like if you want to switch them out, you say like, oh, this one's a garbage one, we should do this one.
Yeah,
we'll do that.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, that is it for this week. The AT-AT is standing at this point, so I mean, we're moving along, we're chugging along. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this week. We've had a whole crap ton of fun, but it's time to bid you all adieu. Sir, give everybody your pluggables. Oh shit! Chris Reed is in our chat.
Where?
On Instagram.
Oh,
you know who Chris Reed is?
I know the name.
Did you watch Sons of Anarchy?
Yes, a little bit.
He was one of the prospects.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he was on the show a while back.
Oh, sweet. Hey, Chris.
Yeah, so that's kind of cool. Hey, Chris, thanks for coming and hanging out for a little bit, man.
Yeah.
We got a couple people from, at least 2 people from Sons of Anarchy in here. Damn, I wasn't paying attention. At least Sky was in there for a second too. Like,
oh man,
holy shit. Okay, well, guys, we appreciate you all. Graveyard, give everybody your pluggable, sir.
Yes, I am Graveyard, co-host of the Mostly Pod Out at Night Mostly podcast.
Mostly
Pod.
at night. Mostly.
You can find new episodes every Wednesday as part of the Comic-Con radio family that we have here with Distance Learning and Geek Saga and everyone else over at Comic-Con Radio. On top of that, you can find me talking and interviewing horror people in the horror world on Wednesdays over at the Pod Out at Night YouTube channel. Last night I had Tanya Atomic, the director and writer of Manos Returns. So that was awesome. Make sure to go check that out. You can follow us on all social media at Pod Out at Night. You can see all new horror stuff that we are doing at Horror-Raven on all social media. We have shorts that are out there right now. We have 3 different edits of the movie called Backwards. So make sure to check that out over on Horror-Raven over on Facebook. And we're starting a podcast as well. So, yeah, I'm excited for all that stuff. On top of that, you can find me usually over at Kyber Cave 2 to 3 days a week. I am taking I'm quitting the internet, guys. I'm too famous. I have all the money I need. I can quit the internet now. No. But yeah, make sure to check out that. And you see me here on Thursdays on the build, doing brackets, talking to awesome people, and harassing Phil every Monday in the gaming chat while he plays. Well, he's done with Ask Creed now, so
Yeah, we just got a little bit of Call of Duty left, and then I'm debating on whether I'm gonna go and get RoboCop Rogue City.
I heard it's fantastic.
I heard it's good too. So it's like, okay, RoboCop Rogue City, or if I start a run of Shadows of Mordor before Suicide Squad comes out at the end of February.
There's always Prince of Persia.
You can always do Prince of Persia. Sands of Time?
The new one, The Lost Crown, that just came out.
Oh, I didn't even realize there was a new one that came out.
Yep.
Oh, well, that's okay. I thought it was just a joke. You were just saying,
No.
oh, yeah, you do Prince of Persia. Like, oh, okay, yeah, no, I'll play Sands of Time. That's fine. That was a good game.
No, brand new one.
I did not realize they came out with a new one. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you can find us in all the places, all the social media spots that exist. You can connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, TikTok, Threads, YouTube, Discord, MySpace, Vine, GeoCities, Friendster, Second Life, AIM, Farmers Only, Christian Mingle, OnlyFans. It's only pictures of Aaron Watson's feet and mandals and the beard. And remember, the beard shows up where it's needed.
Yes.
And sometimes we'll cover vaginas. All right, ladies and gentlemen. If that's what you're into, you can email us. Remember, if you'd like us to break up with your boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, pet, schoolyard bully, annoying neighbor, or just tell us how much you enjoy us, hate us, or wish the internet would consume us completely so that we are just digested by the nastiness that is the internet, you can email us at dist it's nerding at AOL.com, and we will read it on the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it from us. It is now time for the dance party. We are done and over with. Again, she's not on the show right now, but I would like to give a giant thank you to Melissa Flores for coming on the show today, and, blessing us with her presence. It's nice to, it's always nice talking to indie creators, but it's always nice talking to people who are working for the big three. So,
Absolutely. Great. Hope she comes back.
Me too, man. She's got a couple of other projects coming on, and same thing when they launched in the Seal books. I would love to have her come on the press.
Yes, I definitely want that too.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Until next week, until Monday, remember, keep nerding together. Get this going. Not a turd in the wind.
Distance nerding.
Eddie.
It's even scarier!
Ah!
It's Thomas!
We need a good name for him. He's not the lethal protector. What is he?
He's the protector of rice.
There you go.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Bye.